Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio Station. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. Central. As I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. It's a privilege. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant TV, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Okay, I got everybody's favorite sports analyst. This is AP Steadham. Hey, AP, how are you doing today? Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah. Hey, Donna, thank you for having me on this show. I sure did. Yeah, I was at a college football game. I watched some football games, and so the two teams from the state of Alabama were both winners, as was Tennessee. And I know the Tennessee fans, they were trying to rebound from that game against Georgia. And my goodness, Donna, they scored 66 points. So that's what, nine touchdowns and a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
So they just and they played against a Missouri team, Donna, that was playing very well defensively, and they just annihilated them, beat them by 42 points, 66 to 24. So that was surprising. The score. I thought Tennessee would win, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't think there's no way they'd win by six touchdowns. So that was something for Tennessee to come back and get on the right track. But Tennessee, Donna, is in an excellent position to be in the college football playoffs. They're going to have their chance. We'll discuss that a little later. We'll circle back to it. But Tennessee, they're sitting pretty because they have to play South Carolina now in Columbia. And South Carolina was dominated by Florida in Gainesville 38-6. That was surprising. A total surprise at this point of the season because you're thinking, we're trying to get to the bowl game with some and get to a better bowl with more wins. And South Carolina was flat, and Florida was super high for that ball game. But so Tennessee travels to Columbia. Got to watch out there in Columbia now because they might rebound and have a good ball game. They're fired up against Tennessee. They don't want to be embarrassed again like they were against
Mm-hmm.
Florida. So Tennessee stay with it, and then they'll have finish up the season the following weekend in Nashville against Vanderbilt. And Donna, Vanderbilt broke a 26 game losing streak in the conference. They beat
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky in Lexington. So that was another surprise this weekend because Vanderbilt, they play hard all the time. Mike Wright came off the bench as a second string quarterback because the first string quarterback was injured. Played a good ball game for them. And Kentucky, even though Rodriguez had over 160 yards rushing, Will Levis and company, they only threw for 100 yards or so. So the Kentucky folks have to be totally disappointed, not only with the loss to Vanderbilt, they gave up that win, a 26 game losing streak, but the entire season, I think Kentucky figured they'd beat, they wouldn't have losses to Vanderbilt and South Carolina. So now Kentucky's got Georgia coming up, so they better be ready because they'll be embarrassed in
Well,
Lexington. Yeah.
we got a lot of powerhouses, and a lot of things changed this year versus last year.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee, we've been watching them down. Yeah, I think you were the first one to really be on Tennessee. We started taking a look at them last year, and they have a really good football team. Offensively, they're very difficult to guard with those receivers and Hendon Hooker. I think Hendon Hooker, Don, I believe he's going to get a trip to New York. He's one of the top candidates to win the Heisman Trophy this year. So I think him and his family will be in New York. So I'll be in New York um, in 2 or 3 weeks here for the Heisman. So I'm hoping to see Hendon there. And yeah, the voting down, that's done on the December 5th. You have to have your ballot, and you have to have three candidates on your ballot. That's on Monday, so you have to have it completed by, I think it's maybe 3 or 4 o'clock Central. So that's after the championship games for the league, the SEC, the Big 12, the Pac 12, the Big 10, the ACC, all these conferences around the country. So, but anyhow, Tennessee is a team that they're in a good position because they do not have to play in the SEC championship game. We've now found out it's going to be Georgia and LSU. LSU beat Arkansas in a tough road win, 13-10 in Fayetteville. That was the best game Arkansas played all season down on defense, holding LSU to 13 points. I mean, that was phenomenal. LSU
Mm-hmm.
had been scoring 45, 45, and then 32 against Alabama. Arkansas had their second string quarterback. They just couldn't drum up any offense for that game. But
Mm-hmm.
they ended up losing. And so LSU won the SEC Western Division. Brian Kelly, his first year as a coach, coming down from Notre Dame to win the SEC Western Division, includes victories over Alabama and Ole Miss. lost to Tennessee, 40-17. And the first game of the season, a non-conference game, a tight ball game against Florida State. And Donna, that's a good loss because Florida State is having an excellent season as well. So that
Mhm.
helps their strength of schedule,
Mhm.
LSU. So now it's LSU and Georgia in the SEC championship game December 3rd in Atlanta.
Let's fast forward. Let's talk about Tennessee again just for a few seconds. So let's fast forward next year. Where do you think Tennessee will be sitting next year?
Well, next year, I think it's highly dependent on the return of Hendon Hooker if he comes back as the quarterback. I
Mhm.
don't know if he's going to return to Knoxville. If he returns, have a good chance. I mean,
Yeah.
very good chance to win that SEC Eastern Division.
Mhm.
But I'm really excited for them to see what they do the rest of the season. They should win these next two games, and then
Mhm.
they get into the playoffs. The playoffs down are in Atlanta and Arizona. Those are the semifinals, and the championship is in Los Angeles. So I know the Tennessee people, they're thrilled and excited. They haven't won a championship
Mhm.
since 1998, I guess it was. I think it was 98.
Been a dry season.
Yeah, been a while, but now they're in the playoff contention, and I think their name is going to be called on Sunday, December 4th, by this election committee.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's talk Alabama and Auburn, specifically Auburn, because most of the questions that have come in or comments that have come in have been about, Auburn coaching and Cadillac Williams and all those things. A lot of folks are hoping Cadillac Williams would be the next coach, but is he ready?
Right. I don't think he's ready down to be the head coach, but I believe 100% that the next coach should keep him in some capacity, whether it's on staff as the running back coach or with the program on some other level. But he's energized the team. The matchup
Yes.
was a good one for Auburn going against Texas A&M because they have a porous rush defense. Texas A&M, Auburn rushed for 270 yards. Both the running backs had, I think it was 121 yards apiece.
Mhm.
Um, uh, Tank Bigsby and Hunter. So that was a big night for them. They only threw for 60 yards, but they won the ball game 13-10. Down to the kicker for Auburn, he was injured, Carlson, shoulder injury. So he
Mhm.
was out. He might be able to come back if they go to a bowl game. But the freshman McPherson, I believe it is from Fort Payne, he had a good night. He had a
Mhm.
couple. I think he was maybe two or three, but he had the game-winning field goal. So that was nice for the freshman from Fort Payne to
Mhm.
hit those field goals. Yeah.
Just right
And
up the road here from Geraldine, Alabama. So, what do
yeah,
you think the strengths are for Cadillac? What brings him to the
well,
table?
yeah, well, Cadillac, he was a great player at Auburn at the running back position. That's the position that he coaches.
Mhm.
He has a good rapport with the players.
Mhm.
They play hard for him.
They like
Tank
him.
Bigsby, yeah, they like him. That's important. Tank Bigsby and Hunter, two
Mhm.
good SEC running backs. Their offensive line, that was a good matchup for them against Texas A&M. And Don, a lot of times you go into the ball game, you're looking at the other team, and you're saying why were we able to run against Texas A&M but not the
Mhm.
prior week? Well, it's because of the personnel. So Texas A&M, they're not strong at that position on the defensive line, and that's why Auburn was able to get 270 yards rushing. So, but Cadillac, it means something to him personally for Auburn
Mhm.
to win. So he's going to bring 100% effort, and it's a different communication that you have with the players since that's your alma mater. They can
Mhm.
sense that it's there's
Mhm.
that strong feeling for a school. So
Mhm.
that's some of the things that he brings to the program. He knows all
Mhm.
about. He knows the history. He's part of their history on some really good team. He knows that they can win at Auburn because he's
Uh,
been on that in that situation as a running back and had
mhm.
total success. He was drafted to play in the NFL, high draft choice. So he's had a career in the NFL at the top level. So those are some of the positive points for Cadillac. But I don't think he's ready to be a head coach. And I wouldn't put him in that position because you're really setting him up to fail because he just
Mhm.
doesn't have the experience. I mean, being a head coach entails many more things than just coaching football.
Mhm. Absolutely. So, who's in the lineup to be the next coach?
Well, you hear whispers about Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
You hear Hugh Freeze at Liberty, and Liberty was upset this weekend. Down, they were a ranked team. They traveled to the University of Connecticut, and they were upset 36-33. So that was a huge, that was one of the bigger upsets I think in the country. this past weekend for
Mm-hmm.
Liberty to lose that ball game. So he's
Mm-hmm.
in the mix. You hear the Oregon coach possibly coming back down because he was the Georgia defensive coordinator on the championship team, went to Oregon this
Mm-hmm.
year, Coach Bo Nix, and then Oregon was upset this weekend by Washington. That's a big rival game, and that was at
Mm-hmm.
Oregon. So that was a huge surprise, Donna.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the names you hear, Donna. Now, I don't know with the athletic director if he's going to seek a highly regarded assistant or he's going to seek somebody who's been on the scene for quite a while and has a winning record. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure.
So are they going to let Cadillac just kind of play it out the rest of this season and maybe look later?
Yeah. They'll let Cadillac be the interim coach for the rest of the season.
I
And
think that's
Donna,
a good idea.
oh yeah, that's the only way to approach this
Mm-hmm.
opening right now. And but they'll have to select somebody. But Donna, they're like I said, they're probably looking at somebody that's having a successful season. So it might not be until sometime in December. I would
Mm-hmm.
say look at that. I would say look at that December 4th, 5th, 6th range to make an announcement. I'm thinking because you have to play those championship games the weekend of December 2nd to Friday. I think the
Mm-hmm.
Pac-12 might even play on a Friday
Mm-hmm.
night, the championship. The third is the SEC, the Big 12, the ACC, the um, Big 10. So then on the fourth, they have the announcement for the playoffs and those top bowls, the top other four bowls. So I'm saying look around right after that weekend for an announcement. I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. A real good question that came in, and I've got to say, I even thought about this too, and that would be what if Cadillac came in as the coach? What do you think he would be paid?
Oh, they would pay him. Um,
I mean, it wouldn't be like
it,
if Lane
it'd
Kiffin
be.
came
I
in.
mean, right. If he was going to, I think if they were going to pay Cadillac, I'm thinking it'd probably be between 2 and 4 million. I would think something like that. It would be top money because it'd be his first opportunity.
Sure.
So I'm thinking it'd probably be minimum 2 million. I would say
Hmm.
to be the head coach. But I just don't. I think
Hmm.
that's a total long shot
That's
for me.
just too far fetched right there.
Yeah, it's a long shot because he's never been a coordinator, never been a head coach. But it doesn't bother me if somebody's not been a coordinator. If they're a good
Mhm.
leader, they'll hire the right people to be the coordinators. I mean, that's a
Because
key.
personally, I would
Yeah,
put it if I could make that decision, I would say let's go with Cadillac. I mean, I
right.
would several different. First
Yeah,
of all, people play on emotions. Everything is done on
yeah,
emotion. And I
right.
mean, we all know that even from, politics and up,
Yeah,
everything is actually done on emotion. And there's a lot of emotion out there for
yeah,
him by the
right.
players.
Right. One of the discussions that's a serious discussion in the hiring process, Donna, is if we hire you, who will be your defensive and offensive coordinator?
Mm-hmm.
You have to, I think you have to establish that before you even proceed further with that person being considered as the head coach. Who is your
Mm-hmm.
defensive coordinator? Who is your offensive coordinator? Those are two extremely important positions uh, to have success in a program.
Mm-hmm. And you would have to have somebody in place that would be a good recruiter. Saban has been an awesome recruiter.
Right. If the person is not particularly a good closer, a good recruiter, then he's going to get people on the staff that fill that void and fill
Mm-hmm.
that niche. Yeah, you have to balance it. You have to have some people on your staff that are tremendous with the X's and the O's. And then you have
Mm-hmm.
to have a couple people, preferably, that can evaluate talent. And then you have to have those that can recruit.
Mm-hmm.
There's a number of skills that are mandatory with each program, and you have to balance it. I always like to have somebody that can coach the quarterback position specifically. I
Uh-huh.
mean, the techniques of playing the position. I don't mean calling the play. That's something, I mean, completely different. This is the
Mm-hmm.
person who instructs the individual how to pass the ball, the footwork, the vision, and grasping the offense. So I want somebody to coach the quarterback. I don't mean a play caller now. That's it can be somebody completely different. But
Mm-hmm.
I want somebody on the staff that can coach that quarterback position because Donna, the quarterback gets the ball almost every play. Almost every play, it's in their
Mm-hmm.
hands. So it's important.
Well, let's talk about Alabama. And more
Oh,
questions are coming out. And we hear this almost every show. Is Saban going to stay? I think
Right.
he is, but is Saban
Yeah.
going to stay? That's another big question right there. If Saban
Yeah.
were to leave, would it be a grid match? I mean, and who gets the best coach?
Right. No, I think he's
We're
going to
doing a
be
lot of what
around.
ifs here.
Right. Yeah. I think Nick Saban would be around, and I'm going to say for approximately 5 years. That's what I'm going to say. I think he's got 5 years left in him because he turned 71 on Halloween. So, but
Mm-hmm.
he's a young 71, and he doesn't. And I say this to many people. They ask me, he doesn't have any serious hobbies. He likes coaching football. He
Uh-huh.
likes the interaction with the high school coaches on the recruiting
Mm-hmm.
show. He likes to recruit. He likes to get on the
Mm-hmm.
phone and talk to people. He likes to go visit people. So that's something that keeps him alive and looking ahead.
I think so too. You know, my husband is the same way. They're about the same age. He's retired 3 times.
Oh my
And
goodness,
he's
yeah.
now decided to start a business 2 years ago. So
Right,
some people
right.
just have it in them. They can't stop.
No, no, because they enjoy life. They enjoy participating, not just being on the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Saban's on the sidelines, but he's coaching football.
Yeah.
That's a serious sideline, right? Yeah. But he's not
Most
just an
definitely.
observer in the stands. He's on that sideline where it's hot and heated and complex.
Let's talk about the polls. Who's in the top five this week?
Yeah, so Donna, they have the college football playoff. They start meeting a couple weeks ago. Every week they'll travel to Dallas and discuss the
Mm-hmm.
college football playoff. So it's that 13-member committee. So Georgia at the top, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, Tennessee. I'm trying to think. Alabama might be in there. LSU. Those are some of the top teams right now. USC uh, is in there. So it'll all shake itself out because Ohio State and Michigan play each other.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia will play LSU. Tennessee, so to finish out the season. TCU, they beat Texas this weekend in a tight ball game in Austin, 17-10, but they have to play a few more games as well, plus compete in the uh, Big 12 championship. They might face Texas again, possibly. So there's a lot of football that needs to be played, and the polls there'll be a shakeup in the next couple of weeks, Donna. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Clemson, Clemson's in there as well, but they got defeated by Notre Dame by 3 touchdowns. But they rebounded
Yeah.
and won the game this past weekend. Clemson won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's go. Let's talk Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama, that was a nice road win for them against a
Mm-hmm.
highly ranked Mississippi team.
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi was still in contention at the time because LSU had to defeat Arkansas. But Lane Kiffin, he's trying to win 10 games for the second year in a row. He's the first coach to win 10 games in a season. He still has that opportunity, but now
Mm-hmm.
they have the second loss. They lost to LSU, now Alabama. So now they're playing for a good bowl game and to get the 10 victories. But Alabama was down by double digits, 10 points a couple times, first half, second half. They managed to eke out this victory. The kicker, Will Reichert, had 3 field goals. Bryce Young had 3 touchdown passes. So the team showed a lot of grit and determination by coming back in the second half and holding on for that victory 30-24.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you went on the road, Donna, in the SEC, that's a good win. And it was against a
Mm-hmm.
highly ranked team, Mississippi. So Alabama's sitting now 8-2, I believe that is 8-2. Yeah, they got with 2 games remaining.
Mm-hmm.
They play Austin P, and then of course the Iron Bowl the following week.
Mm-hmm. You know, Alabama has that pattern. It almost appears as if they start out slow and then they come back. And why do they have that pattern?
Donna, I don't know. LSU's is kind of the same way. They start
Yeah.
out slow and they get better
Mm-hmm.
as the game progresses. Maybe I don't know if it's the other team is really prepared and they come out with the up-tempo offenses and get Alabama on their heels and they have to get into the rhythm of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when you're playing against an opponent and they're playing at a fast pace, it takes you a moment just to get acclimated. And then once that
Mm-hmm.
happens, then you're able to play much better defensively on offense and get things rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's talk about player of the week and then coach of the week. Who is your player of the week?
Yeah, the player of the week, let me see, let's say in the SEC, Um, Trying to think I like as the player of the week. I know Hendon Hooker and that group put 66 points on Missouri. That's pretty
Pretty good.
astounding. I mean, that's a nice weekend. 66 points. I'd say that Tennessee. I'd pick the entire Tennessee offense, putting up 66 points
Yeah.
against Missouri. And then
Uh-huh.
the coach of the week. Uh, I would say I would say the coach of the week. I'm gonna pick Brian Kelly. I'm gonna pick Brian Kelly from LSU because he went on the road. Pressure was on to win that ball game. His team did not play very well offensively, but they captured the win 13-10 against Arkansas. I mean, because they could have, when the game was that tight down, it could have went the other way. Because there's a lot of pressure for them to win that ball game because they wanted to clinch the SEC Western Division. So,
Mhm.
but Georgia's team, beat Mississippi State. They
Yeah.
put 45
Mhm.
points on Mississippi State. So Kirby Smart, there was no letdown with his team after defeating Georgia. That could have been a letdown at Mississippi State with that passing offense.
Mhm.
They just beat up on Mississippi State for the 45-19, I think it was. Yeah.
Mhm.
So and then Billy Napier, he had a good coaching job beating South Carolina 38-6. That should not have happened. No way.
Mhm.
No way that should have happened. That's no way that South Carolina's 32 points should have been beaten by 32 points on the road
Mhm.
at Florida. But that happened. Billy Napier did a good job with his team.
Mhm. Well, and I know that let's talk Alabama Auburn just for a minute, the Iron Bowl, but and I realize that actually Alabama right now is in a different league than Auburn is.
Yeah.
However, the Iron Bowl, all of that goes out the window. You have a prediction for the Iron Bowl yet?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, one other. I want to commend Vanderbilt's coach for getting off the snide 26 game losing streak, rolling into Lexington, Kentucky, and beating the Kentucky Wildcats. So all them him as well.
That's good.
Yeah, I think the Iron Bowl down. I mean, Alabama definitely has the better players. Auburn struggles in the pass game. If
Uh-huh.
Alabama's going to try to put probably 8 or 9 people on the offensive. Against their offensive line to stop the
Uh-huh.
run game. So Alabama's probably going to be, I'm thinking probably 2 touchdown favorite or so right now. So
But you got
yeah,
Cadillac as interim
yeah,
coach.
yeah. I
You
mean,
think
if they
that's going
get
to
to,
factor?
well, they're going to play hard. Auburn's going to play hard. They don't want to be embarrassed. It's a big game. It's a rivalry game. They're trying to play for the interim coach, Cadillac Williams. Alabama has to be motivated to get to 10 wins and win the rivalry game. It's at home. It'd be the last game for the seniors. They
Hmm.
don't want to have a loss.
Hmm.
So Alabama should be highly motivated as well.
But there are going to be some memories there between the Alabama Auburn games with Cadillac.
Right. Yeah, there'll be some good memories there, but
Hmm.
Auburn could ruin the memories for the seniors at Alabama. That could happen, or the
That's
seniors
true.
from Alabama because hey, we beat Auburn at home our last game.
Uh-huh. There is a show that comes on our station. It's every Friday, Football Friday at 4. And I love this show right here. You want to talk about it? Who was your guest this past week?
Oh yeah, thank you very much. This is AP and Kelly as we see it. Capital S, capital E, capital C. We discuss the Southeastern Conference and keep an eye on the national scene as well. Kelly Finley and I, it's at 4 o'clock on IC Radio every Friday. This past week we had Scott Hunter. We discussed the Ole Miss and Alabama game. Scott played in the first primetime SEC game. It was on a Saturday night. They had to
Mhm.
wait for the Lawrence Welk show to end on because Lawrence would not give up the time spot because it was a
Uh-huh.
popular show and he would not give up that time slot. So it was
Uh-huh.
8:30 Central, the first game ever, Saturday night game. So yeah, this week I'm not sure we're going to have Donna. I'm thinking, oh, I know one of the guests we're going to have on the show is going to be Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Senior Bowl. He scouts the country looking for players for that
Mhm.
All-Star game, which is played late January, early February in Mobile, Alabama. So
Mhm.
he's going to be one of our guests.
Hmm. Wow. Lots of great things going on in the world of football. There's nothing like it. I mean, I
No,
love having you as a guest all year long, but when it comes to
thank you.
football, there we go. Any news from the pros? Anything going on there?
Just I think that the pros down it every week something interesting. If you look at those games, a lot of times you can add up. There's I think that the majority of games, it's a one score victory or loss. So all the fans are saying, if we just scored one more field goal or a touchdown, but that is the league because they're so close in talent. So when you
Mhm.
watch the NFL, normally it's a fairly close ball game. But
Uh-huh.
there's some blowouts, of course. But I think the majority, and I haven't seen the statistic, but I think this is true. The majority of games, it's a one score loss or victory.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There's a with watching the pros, I cannot really get into it like I used to because I don't know, it feels like there's not as much momentum. It feels like there's a lot of setback weight, that kind of thing. But with college football, it's just one trip after the other. I mean, it's just constantly on.
Yeah, yeah. College football, they have a lot of pageantry, the bands, the cheerleaders, the dance team. Yeah, I love watching the college football and the fans. They're oh, it's a celebratory day for all the
Mhm.
fans and the alumni and the visiting team and the pros. They have tailgates too as well, but there's nothing like a college tailgate. I think
Mhm.
affects
Mhm.
the
Have
whole
to choose
town.
one or
Yeah,
the other. It's always going to be college football all the
yeah,
way.
it affects the whole town, and sometimes it's a small college town, so it just saturates the whole city.
Mhm. Yeah. I want to talk Jack State just for a minute too, and how are they doing this year?
Yeah, yeah, Don. I'm not as familiar with them. I'm not as familiar.
Mhm.
I try to keep an eye on all these the SEC primarily and the college teams at the top. So I'm not familiar, but they've had their moments, Jack
Mhm.
State in their program.
Yeah.
They've had some good seasons. So,
I
but
think their best season was with Coach Burgess, and
probably
he was
so.
there. I mean, national news. I mean, we came like from out of nowhere, and
Probably so. Yeah, probably so. When he was the coach, he's probably been their best coach. I think. Yeah.
mhm.
But yeah, football's popular in Alabama, and they've had teams besides Alabama and Auburn win some national championships. Yes,
Even Pee Wee. I mean, we get all it.
right,
I
right,
don't want you. You
that's
can't get into a rougher game than high school or Pee Wee football. I mean, that
right.
can get pretty rough. Parents out
Yeah,
on the field, the whole works.
yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. But anyway, so we're just winding up the season, trying to get the head coach at Auburn, trying to see if Alabama can win 10 games, trying to see who's going to be in the SEC, who's going to win the SEC. Uh, we're thinking that Tennessee will be in that playoff. So I think two teams from the SEC will be in the playoffs. The Tennessee people have to be rooting for Georgia to beat LSU because
Uh-huh.
that will leave that opening for them to be
hmm
in the college football playoffs. So Tennessee's rooting hard for Georgia.
hmm Absolutely. Oh, a minute left in this segment. What would you like to tell the folks before you leave, AP?
Oh yeah, just continue to have fun watching the games, especially the Tennessee people and Alabama and Auburn. I know it's not the seasons they wanted at those two schools, but you can still play for pride. And you have the Iron Bowl
Mhm.
coming up, not this week, but the following week. So, matter of fact, Auburn's playing Western Kentucky this weekend. They should win that game. Should be another victory for them. Alabama plays Austin P, and Tennessee plays South Carolina. You got to be ready for those Gamecocks in Columbia.
Yeah, I think so too. AP, thank you so much for being on the show, and we always look forward to Football Friday at 4. But thank you
Thank
again
you,
so much for being on the show. You take care.
thank you, Donna. Thank you so much.
And thank you for watching. You can find us on television channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant TV found on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Australia. So, again, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. You take care.